Workout there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really for the players to get acclimated to the ballpark a little bit and, just get a sense of how the ball carries and reacts off the bat a little bit when you have a nice south breeze like today. And then just the surroundings of seeing the ball in the outfield. The infield part of it, they weren't allowed to wear spikes on the field, so the infielders are kind of slipping and sliding and just tiptoeing around. But when we get out there on before our ball game on Sunday, they get to take pregame and all that in their spikes. They just want to tear it up with all the teams, and it's a good rule. So swung the bat good, got out in the sun, just trying to maintain and make sure we're 100% on Sunday.
Fletcher has been struggling a little bit, but he looked like he had a really
Doc offense concessions.
Yeah, he did. The first couple of rounds we control it pretty good. Third round, stay through the middle, pull the ball if you want, and he hit the ball extremely well the last couple of rounds. Hits balls in the gap, couple balls out of the park. But I was happy to see his first couple of rounds. He went the other way, did a nice job with it. So, I mean, we would need him. He hits in the 5-hole, hits between a couple of right-handed hitters, and if we're going to stay in this thing for a while, we're going to need him to get hot.
Coach, how does it feel to be back in Omaha?
It feels like it does every time. It's great. It's hard to get here, and we know when we get to Omaha that we're down to the final 8 and we got a shot. And happy for all the players that have never been here and the coaches and really just our whole team. It's something that you talk about early and you work on it and you try to get here. And there's a lot of good teams that aren't here, so I feel very fortunate.
Coach, you're still celebrated by a lot of fans in the state for what you did with the Huskers. Just how's it being back in a state where kicked off your major career?
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska's it was 5 of the best years I've ever had as a coach or just on this earth, to be honest with you. People in Lincoln were great. The state was great. It's continued to be that way. I still have friends up here. Have a couple friends that are from Nebraska that I go pheasant hunting with in South Dakota. It was just a great experience, and it's always great to get back here.
How was the ball carrying out there today compared to Bob?
Well, it wasn't carrying great because you had 20-mile-an-hour winds shooting over the top of those seats straight in from right. But, it carried down the left field line a little bit if you could hit it that way. But, that's part of this game, baseball. It's a game of elements and a little bit of luck here and there. And you got to be able to play when the wind's blowing in, blowing out. When it's wet, you just do what you got to do. So it's same for everybody.
So speaking of Nebraska, just a quick comment. Jeff Lisey, one of your guys back then, he's doing a lot now to get guys ready for Division I baseball. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that and the way he used to play the game?
Well, the way he used to play the game was he's one of the best leadoff hitters I've ever had because he brought a really good eye to the plate. He made you pitch and throw a lot of strikes, and he seemed to get deep in counts. He could really bunt, and if you made a mistake, he'd hit it out of the park. He had some power, and just was a great player for me in our teams back then. And then, he's working with young guys and his organization and developing kids and preparing them offensively, defensively, mentally a little bit, I'm sure, and gets their names out there. And, I make a call to him every now and then to see what's going on. If there's a guy I've heard about in this area, I'll definitely see if he's seen him or worked with him and tell him what I've heard and ask him what he thinks.
The freshman, Kerstad Martin, how are they doing? First day in, kind of jitters, anything?
Probably like anybody the first time here, whether you're a freshman or a senior, it can be a little overwhelming. You just got to take a step back and say it's still 90 feet, 60 feet, 6 inches. It's baseball. There's just a lot of hype, and there's 7 other really good teams here. So I think they're handling it pretty well. I mean, they've played in some tough environments this year on the road. SEC tournament, the stadium there reminds me of this a little bit as far as how big it is, as far as just looking around and the way the ball looks coming off the bat. So, I think they're doing good.
How Shaddy and Bonfield really helped the younger guys? Most of the team right now get ready for what they're going to face.
Kind of what they've done all year. They've been a little bit of the calming, father figure to them a little bit. Just can discuss some things that they've already been through and dealt with as far as ups and downs of the game, playing in regionals, super regionals, and then obviously getting here to Omaha. These guys have been here, and those guys have been here, and they just feel like they can kind of tell the guys what they're going to be in for. And I think it's got to help some, and we'll see how it all turns out.
Over the years when Arkansas and Texas have been here, I mean, Texas is typically the top 5 team that's supposed to be here, and Arkansas has battled its way or made a correction in the middle of the year. Now it's a complete role reversal. Does that feel odd to you?
You know, it really doesn't, because, you know, I just feel like we've been kind of living it all year. I guess if we just flipped it at the end of the year and got good, and, you know, it would probably feel different, but we've been kind of the team with a little bit of the bullseye on us all year. We felt that from day one, preseason. Some of the, you know, baseball people around the country, writers projecting us to go to the World Series or maybe even win it, and, you know, projected to finish at the top of the Western Division and you know, second behind Florida overall. And, you know, we pretty much tied Ole Miss for that, and we played the tougher schedule is the way we looked at it. We had to play on the road against Florida and Georgia and the teams that finished in the top of a bunch of divisions, and we've kind of handled it, and now we're here. So I don't, you know, I just see it as a great matchup. Texas is good. They're a different team that we played in March, and, you know, we're a different team too. So it's going to be a really good ball game.
How do you handle Cody Clemens?
Who?
Cody Clemens on Sunday.
Well, I think we see how the game goes. You know, if we're the runners on base, you know, he's got a couple guys hitting around him that are pretty good too. And if you pitch around him too much, or you walk him, you're going to incite them a little bit. And, you know, they've probably had that a few times this year, and I'm sure they've come through. So we'll just see what the score is, where runners are, who's on the mound, and we'll just try to pitch accordingly. You know, obviously we're extremely concerned about him, but we've got to be concerned about the other 8 and just look at the big picture.
Blaine's given up a lot of home runs, one every start for about 8 or 9 starts now, but it's been usually with guys on bases. What have you thought about that?
Well, he's given up some solos, you know, and it happens. You're facing some really good hitters, and he's made a mistake or two, or sometimes he just thinks, hey, I can get it by him. And, you know, a few of those home runs have been on first pitches, and a couple of them have been with 2 strikes. And, you know, but what I like about it, he gives up a home run. Usually there's no one on base, or he just shakes it off and moves on, you know. And a lot of times guys that are around the plate as much as he is are going to give up some home runs because the other team's in swing mode. They're going up there swinging it, and I see that happening to Blaine.
What do you think Nebraska taught you that you were able to take to Arkansas as a head coach?
Well, you know, that was obviously major college Division I baseball. It was a team that when we took it, that no one really in the league thought we were going to be any good. I had people telling me, you don't need to take that job. It's not good for your future. And, you know, they just made it sound good. Bill Byrne did a great job of you know, taking care of us when we got there and gave us what we needed to be successful. But we went out and just we recruited the right kids and recruited kids that could play at this level, and used a little bit of everything: junior college guys, high school guys, transfers. So I think it just taught me, you know, a little bit about dealing with the pressure of playing in a league like the Big 12, and you know, just I feel like it helped get me ready to go to Arkansas.
Your first 3 times here, you went 2 and out, and then I know last time you went 2 and out, but you lost to the national champion. You had some success here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What did you think you learned from those first 2 trips?
Well, the first 2 trips, you know, we lost like, if you look at the scores, they're like 9-8, 6-5. Just the little things. We didn't punch in a run here or there. We couldn't stop somebody. You know, I remember we had a lead and we were in the bottom of the 8th, and we got Cleo Green up, or I mean, there's no place to put him. Runner, maybe the bases were loaded, 2 outs, and we had to pitch to him. He hits a double. We didn't want to pitch to him. You know, what do you do? So I think you just try to learn how to handle it up here. And you know, in a couple situations, maybe we weren't the best team up here. We weren't our top 5 team up here. We just got here, and you know, hopefully it's taught me to make some better decisions if that's what it takes.
Some of the locals are familiar with Jerry Gates. What is he? How has he contributed and sort of handled that role of being kind of a part-time?
Well,
Right?
he was a part-time player in the middle of the season. At the beginning of the season, he was a starter.
Yeah.
He got hurt, hamstring issue. Then when he came back, he never really got it going again. We platooned. And then really, you know, down the stretch, the last